Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining on time. If you can, please introduce yourself, announce where you're calling in from and your name. Great to have you guys all here.
Candy, Houston, Texas.
Welcome, Candy.
Clola Ferris, down in California.
Welcome, Clara.
Gabby Tober, Orlando, Florida.
Welcome, Gabby. Welcome.
Shannon Chapman, Tampa, Florida.
Welcome, welcome.
Timothy from Chicago.
Welcome, Timothy.
Georgia.
Derek, Houston, Texas.
Welcome, Jarek. Let's see here. If you haven't already introduced yourself, please announce where you're calling in from. Let's send out those last minute text messages, and let's get this ball rolling soon here.
Been in New York.
From Long Beach, California.
Welcome, Chris.
Jessica from Encore Downey office.
Welcome, Jessica.
Hello.
And Cleve, I think I heard Cleve on there too. Welcome, Cleve.
Idris Alaka, Brooklyn, New York.
Headquarters.
Yo, what's up, Laura?
Laura Johnson, South Carolina.
Welcome, Laura.
Louis Rangel, Downey, California.
Welcome, Louis.
Katrina Simpson, Harlem, New York.
Welcome.
Jeremy Dennis, Festus, Missouri.
Welcome.
Carla Wynn in Maryland.
Mark Stewart, Cali.
Welcome, Carla and Mark. Welcome.
Thank you.
Shalinda Quinlan from the Virgin Islands.
Welcome.
Keith Williams out in New York City.
All right, it's great to have everyone here. I think Keith, thank you. You were the last one to say something. Let's send out those last messages and mic check for Mr. JC Rangel. Are you here on here, sir? Let's see.
All right, Juan. How are you, brother?
All right, cool. Pretty good, sir. All right,
were you getting nervous there?
I was trying to look and see, man, do I have this on where people can unmute or what's up?
No, it's all right.
Cool.
I went to the restroom real quick and I heard you. I'm like, he's probably going to get nervous. I'm going to take too long. Thank you very much, Juan, for taking the introductions. Everybody give a virtual round of applause for Juan. Always doing an amazing job with a lot of, things that he's got on his plate with our incredible company. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started. Make sure I'm going to give you guys an extra minute to send some last minute text messages, and you should write something along the lines of, hey, you need to get on this training. This is a must attend training. Trust me. Here's a link. Get your teammates on training. Okay. I understand we're getting towards the end of the year. People are already getting into that fuzzy holiday season. I understand, but guess what? We need to push through. This isn't even the week. It's next week that all the madness happens, right? So I know that we've got some people shopping and that's cool. So nevertheless, we're going to keep chugging along. So we're going to talk today about the art of communication. So buckle your seatbelts, get your notepads ready. Make sure that you are taking copious notes. keep in mind, I very often mention taking copious notes, right? You want any training that you attend, you want to learn with the intent to teach. They say that it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert in a field, right? You're putting in those hours, but see, the magic happens when you put in the hours in the classroom and when you go out and apply it. That's when the real magic happens, right? Remember, there's 4 levels of knowledge. I'm not going to get into that in detail, but I will break it down. Learn knowledge, activity knowledge, modeling knowledge, and then finally teaching knowledge. The first one is learn knowledge. Important, but the other ones are a lot more important. You're going to learn today some things on the art of communication. Let me tell you something. The most successful people in life, not just business, not just money-making activities. By the way, remember, we want you guys to have your cameras on, by the way. A lot of you guys don't have your cameras on. We're looking at people that get, have their cameras on. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the art of communication, the most successful people in life, I guarantee you, there's a direct correlation to the way they communicate, not only with others, not only with the outside world, but ladies and gentlemen, with themselves, with their team, with their partners, right? I assure you that if I or anybody on here is having stress with their spouse, they're going to produce the same. They're not going to produce the same, right? If they're having stress with their business or with their people, there's a lot of conflict. It's because of communication. So this is not on the slide. I'm going to start off with a golden nugget I'm going to give you on leadership communication. So you want to write this down. It's called, and I mentioned this probably 2 weeks ago. It's called build, break, build. Write that down. Build, break, build. What does that mean? If I have William on my team and William is making a mistake, let's say William is coming to training, but he's always attending training late. Let's say, I'm just giving you an example, right? And he always, and by the way, the William I'm thinking about is always on time and on point, right? But I'm just giving you an example. And I need to address it. I need to help him. I want to first build them up genuinely. Keyword, build them up genuinely. The break is giving them the constructive criticism, and then I build them up again. So it'll look something like this. Hey, what's up, William? He says, hey, what's up, JC? I was like, good. Everything is up, brother. Building. He said, yeah, that's right. So good. Hey, listen, I want you to know, man, wanted to bring something to your attention. First and foremost, I want you to know, bro, I've been noticing how consistent you are. I notice how on fire you are. I see you on social media. I see you on the trainings. You're doing your thing, and I want you to know, man, that doesn't go unnoticed. See, I'm building, right? Genuinely. I didn't mention I notice how you're on time and you're on point always, right? No, because I'm gonna break down what he's doing wrong. So now, William, let me ask you something, brother. Straight up, direct question. Can I be brutally honest with you? William says yes. Great. I'm going to give you some constructive criticism, brother, and I'm going to just jump right to the point because you gave me permission to be brutally honest with you. I notice that you're getting on the trainings, but I do notice that you're always on 10, 15 minutes late. That is the area that you need help in, and I know exactly how that feels because I felt the same way. When I was new, I started, and I get it that sometimes life gets in the way, but I would encourage you, fix that, brother, because a leadership notices that. Your team notices that. You're growing a team, and by the way, you're growing an amazing team. You want to make sure that you're on point. Remember that your team will do 100% of what you do right and 100% of what you do wrong. They'll do, if you're lucky, your team will do 50% of what you do right, and they'll do 100% of what you do wrong. Does that make sense? He says yes. So I build, break, build. Now, the old me would have said, Will, what's up, bro? Good. Hey, man, why you late, bro? Oh, it's because, no, it's because nothing. Bro, you got to be on time. You got to be on point, bro. What's going on with you? You're making me look bad. Literally, that was me back in the day, guys. Is there a big difference with that? You doggone right, there's a big difference with that. When I barely started dating my wife, I guarantee you I communicated with her different than I do now, right? If you get better at communication, not only will your business improve, but your life will improve. So let's get started. So first and foremost, communication. Definition of communication. The imparting of or interchange of thoughts, opinions, or information by speech, writing, or signs. Something imparted in interchanged or transmitted. The word communication comes from the Latin word communis, meaning common, where you're finding something in common. Okay, so let's keep going. So communication. Remember this: massive positive communication equals a massive paycheck. Now, the massive positive communication, it means a couple different things. It means, I told people in one of the trainings, in the systems training, I said, the key to success, one of the major keys to success is to talk to more people. TTMP. Talk to more people. If I have a positive attitude and I'm having positive conversation with prospects, that's going to equal a bigger paycheck. The more phone calls I fire off, notice, I want you to pay attention to the trainers moving on, and you'll notice that they use different words and different terms. For example, I want you to put in the chat or raise your hands if you've ever heard me say fire off phone calls. Who's ever heard me say, I don't make phone calls, I fire off phone calls? See, I want to impart, I want to deliver the message. I do not make phone calls, man. I look and I paint the picture. Write this down. As a leader, as a sales professional, you got to learn to paint the picture for others. I tell people, I don't make phone calls, I fire off phone calls. I want you to notice something else about that. Notice the tone of my voice and the speed of the voice. I don't make phone calls, ladies and gentlemen. I fire off phone calls. See, the tone changes, the speed changes, the pause comes. Now, another group of people that you might want to study, not might, but that you want to study, is comedians. Comedians have great communication. The reason why they make you laugh sometimes the pause makes all the difference. The speed, the storytelling. You want to be a great communicator, be a great storyteller. You want to be found more interesting, be a great storyteller. I'm telling you, you want to be more interesting, become a great storyteller. Right? Now, there's an art of communication when you're telling story. I just shared a story, by the way. Put a number 1 in the chat if anybody saw the story. I shared on my podcast. I did a podcast with 3 friends. It was 4 of us. So we called it the 4 CEOs podcast because we're all CEOs, right? And I shared a story of a time in 2012 that I went to jail. I was driving a Ferrari that day. Later that day, I ended up in county jail. And it wasn't because I did anything wrong, but it was because of a mistake that I made. It was a crazy story. Some of you guys may have seen that interview. Okay. So my point is, you got to get great. Yeah. Mark saw the story, right? I'm gonna share that link. It's a 9-minute video. It's a piece of that one. Matter of fact, that's around the time that Gabby Tober and I started working for the first time. She remembers that time. I was driving a Ferrari at one point. Then I ended up in county jail. But check this out. I'm not gonna tell you here why that happened. But I want you to listen to that story. Well, if you want, right? Listen to the story, and I want you to learn about the storytelling. Yes, I was in a suit. I was in a Hugo Boss suit, Ferragamo shoes, Ferragamo belt, driving a Ferrari to ended up in Los Angeles County Jail for 4 days. Okay, and when I was in there, I remember thinking, man, this sucks, but this is going to be a great story one day. It turned out to be right. It turned out to be a great story. That time was no good, right? It's a crazy story. But my point is, ladies and gentlemen, get good at telling stories. Sometimes you're going to tell the story of your business. You're going to tell the story. Maybe I have a success story, but I'm dealing with a barber and there's other barbers in the business, and I tell the barber's story. Because communication is also about relating with other people, about finding common ground with other people. So if I don't find common ground with somebody else, I might tell a story that is more common ground with that person than mine is with them, right? So the massive communication with prospects, the massive communication with your team. If you got a team of 10 and you make 10 phone calls, that means you communicated with 10 people to get on the call. That helps your check increase. Because guess what? A highly trained team equals a highly paid team. And lastly, the communication between you and you. We're going to talk about that here today. And bad news, communication, which is bad news, goes up, means to your leadership, to your uplines. It never, ever, ever, ever goes down. Good news goes everywhere. Downline, sideline, upline. You got a sale, you got an install, you got paid. Share with the world. You got issues. This is a leadership tip. You got issues. Share them with your uplines. Get it resolved with your uplines. Don't go through a pity party communicating with everybody about your, misfortune. Listen, as Jim Rohn says, the same wind blows on us all. The wind of disaster, the wind of change, the wind of defeat. The same wind blows on us all, but it's not about the blowing of the wind. It's about the set of the sail. You're learning communication. Pay attention to this. Pay attention to the pauses throughout. Pay attention to the speed, to the tonality. If you were seeing me in person, pay attention to the body language, the communication with the team. Okay, let's keep going. So here's a cool thing. BYLD has the systems. Here's a problem when you don't connect people to the system. They don't get 100% of the information. But here's what happens. Mary brings this gentleman brings so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. But here's the deal. Here's the issue. If Mary up top tries to share the information that she got from training here today with her prospect or her team member, that guy might catch 50% of the information. And if he tries to do the same thing, same thing with a solar customer or a water customer. Imagine I sit down with the wife and not the husband. The wife says, don't worry, I'm going to go and I'm going to explain this that you explained to me to my husband. They're going to catch like 7%, but here says 50. So that's why this is so important that you make your team system dependent, not people dependent. You connect them all to the system so everybody gets 100% of the information. They get the correct information the first time. Then guess what? You get better. Then eventually you're going to be the one doing the trainings because you've gone and paid the price and gone through the trainings. Okay, let's keep going. The quality of my life and business is determined by the quality of my communication. Let's hold off on that for a little bit. I talked about this earlier. The quality of my life and business is determined by the quality of my communication. Again, the better communicator you are with prospects, with your team, with your leadership, with yourself. Trust me when I tell you, this is a Tony Robbins quote, by the way. Your life will improve. Like, I watch certain shows with my wife, right? The other day we were watching the show and she says, this is so frustrating. Why doesn't she just tell him this and this and this and this? So you know why? Because they could work on their communication skills. Most people's communication skills are tremendously lacking because they don't practice them. They don't make a conscious effort to get better at their communication. The best salespeople in the world are some of the best communicators in the world. The best entrepreneurs in the world, not only the best communicators, but they not with their prospects and their business, their colleagues, but also with themselves. It says here, nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning you give it. Matter of fact, Ed Ayala said this exact thing. I saw it on the We're Building vlog. That section came in episode 10. He comes out talking about this. Nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning you give it. Somebody tells me no. I'm going to go solar JC with somebody else. I'm going to buy my water system from somebody else. I'm going to join another direct sales company. It only has the meaning that I give it. I'm not going to spend, I don't let yesterday's rain affect today's sunshine. And most people do that. Let's go. What did you say? Here's the deal. Understand this, only 7%. When it comes to communication, only 7% of what words, the words that you say represent only 7% of what actually influences a person. Voice qualities represent 38% of what influences another human being. In other words, how you use your voice will affect someone more than by what you say. If I say, Johnny, you're a son of a bitch. Even though I use a bad word, the tonality, the voice, Johnny, you're a son of a bitch. Now imagine my physiology with it. I'm smiling, I'm leaning on something, right? That's 55%. Your physiology represents 55%. The way that you use your body represents a majority of what actually influences people when you communicate. Only 7% is actually what you say. Now watch those same words. I said it twice. Johnny, you're a son of a bitch. He'll actually laugh. But if I say the exact same words different, Johnny, you're a son of a bitch. Now I just insulted this guy. Now he wants to punch me in the face. Before he wanted to laugh with me, chuckle with me. Now, why? Because it's so important. It isn't the words that, oh, by the way, here's a little friend tip, a little life hack. That's why I prefer phone calls over text messages. Because sometimes I've gotten misunderstood on a text and I literally write, this is exactly why I favor a phone call more than a text message, because you can't tell the tonality that I'm saying it in. If you took that in the wrong way, it wasn't meant for you to be taken in the wrong way. I'll literally send a voice memo before a text message very often to make sure that my communication comes out properly. Okay? This is so important. When I learned this, I realized, oh, wow, the importance of my physiology is 55% of what influences human behavior. Then the voice that I say it in. What if I'm leaving my house, right? And my wife says, hey, baby, have a nice day. And I say to her, okay, yeah, you too, baby. And I just walk out. She's going to feel some kind of way. Now, what if she says, hey, baby, have a nice day? And I say, I turn around and I look at her and I say, I'm going to have a nice day, especially because I know that I got such a beautiful wife, the best wife in the world here, and I can't wait to come back and see you and give you a big kiss, baby. Have a nice day. I guarantee you, my wife is going to feel much better with that communication, right? It's practice this in your life. We talked about build, break, build earlier, right? Build, break, build. You are going to get some team members that are going to get you angry. You're going to get some team members that are going to make mistakes. You are going to make mistakes. Practice with build, break, build. Practice being, you got it. Remember, we talked about yesterday, unconscious incompetence. Some of you guys, before you got on this training, you were unconscious incompetent when it came to this. You didn't realize what a low percentage of words actually were. And what a big difference the voice qualities and the physiology played in communication. Now you are at conscious incompetence. Now you know what you don't know, so you're going to go out there and apply it. And eventually you get to conscious competence where you know how to do it, but you got to think about it. It doesn't flow naturally. Then eventually you get to unconscious competence. That's where you're doing it without even thinking about it. Okay, let's keep going. Let's look at, for this particular business, what are some turn off words and some turn on words for this business? I don't like to use the words meeting, seminar, presentation. Instead, hey, I want you to sit down with my partner. I want you to sit down so I can share something with you, bro. When can we sit down so I can share something with you? Or instead of business presentation, I like to use company showcase, business showcase. Hey, we actually have a company showcase happening tonight at 5 o'clock, brother, via Zoom. Sounds better than a presentation or a meeting. People are in meetings all day long at work. Okay? Don't use the words upline, downline. Instead, my business partners. This is my team that I'm working with. These are my business partners. Let's keep going. I joined this company. I got involved with this company. Instead, I started working with this company. I just started working with Encore. So I just started working with Bill. I just started working with David. He's an absolute stud. Okay. I like to, set up a time so we can sit down with them so we can show you something that we're working on that's very exciting. I want to run an idea by you. When can we sit down? I started working with this gentleman who's an absolute stud. Opportunity. I don't like to share that word. It's been used too much in network marketing. That word, you could get away with it a little bit more than others. Hey, I just got lucky. I started working with this. I found something that's tremendous. When can we sit down? I just got lucky, right? I will meet you there. Instead, I'll come pick you up. When it comes to live events, we taught this all the time. Back in the days, we didn't use Zoom. It was live events. I don't meet you there. I'll pick you up. We'll go together. Let's meet somewhere. I'll give you a ride. Tomorrow, today, TNT, write this down, TNT. Today, not tomorrow. You want to be successful in business, you got to get things done faster. Today, not tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a presentation. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a presentation at a real estate office, 10 a.m., Riverside, California, 10 a.m. tomorrow. My video guy is going to go with me. He's going to follow me. He's going to record the whole thing. I'm going to share it with you guys so you can see the communication. And again, study speakers, study comedians. Watch how they present. Watch how they pause. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about communication when it comes to the handshake. Handshake 101. 2 hands. Sincerity. I don't shake hands like that too often, but sometimes I do. Sometimes with customers, depends on the customer, depends on the conversation went. I will shake their hand like that. This is unconscious stuff. Palm up is non-threatening. When somebody gives you a handshake with a palm up, ladies and gentlemen, here's the deal. That's not very firm. It sends an unconscious message. Non-threatening is good. Now, palm down is dominance. That's also not good. I like to keep a firm handshake straight. I do not let nobody turn my palm down. Pay attention, and you will notice people that will automatically do that. They'll shake your hand and they'll try to turn your palm up so their palm is facing down, and that is a sign of dominance. In a negotiation table, this makes a difference. This makes absolute difference. Let's keep going. Let's look at a couple other handshakes. The bone crusher, the vice grip. If somebody wants to dominate you, open up the palm wide. If I know somebody has that, I know some people that have that kind of a grip. I open my hand wide, like I'm going to give a high five, and I get I go in deep on the hand, so they can't do that. And I'm also in business. You know, there's a lot of posturing in business. And it's interesting because I meet with people and I know they want to be dominant from the beginning, especially if there's a negotiation happening. And don't be the guy or the girl with the dead fish handshake. That is weak. That shows weakness. You do not seem confident. Never, ever, ever. Whether you're a man or a woman, shake a hand like that. If anything, just a nice, firm, straight handshake makes a difference. You're dealing with business people. They know. If I sit down with a real estate professional that I want to show them how to offer our services, if I shake their hand like that, my chances of going into business with these people significantly drop. If I have that kind of a handshake. Starts with the handshake. You got to dress sharp. You got to communicate properly, right? But we're talking about handshakes here. Let's keep going. Upper arm grip is intimacy. Our shoulder hold is more intimate. However, that picture on the right also, it depends on their physiology, depends on how they're talking. That could also be a sign of dominance. It's interesting because it could be more intimacy, right? But it could also be more dominant, right? And you could tell the difference because, like, if I was here to show you and I brought somebody as an example, I could show you the exact same shoulder hold. One of them is more dominance, the other one is more intimacy, right? Let's keep going. Bored or impatient, defensive, right? When somebody is like this, you could tell that they're more defensive. If I'm sitting down with a couple of folks, right? And I got these 3 people. One of them, the one on the left is sitting like this in acceptance. The one in the middle is more impatient or bored. And the other one is defensive. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to isolate the guy on the left. I'm going to get rid. Let's say, for example, it's a business presentation and I got 3 people bring me their guest. They want me to meet their guest. I'm going to notice from the jump their body language because I'm an expert at reading people's body language. And I'm going to immediately, in my mind, tell myself, I got to isolate the guy on the left and I got to get rid of these 2, especially the guy on the right. He's got to go. So how would I do it? I would go and answer this guy on the left's questions and not let these other people really get anything else in. So let's say I answer this guy's questions to the point that he's ready to get started. I'm going to say, let me go ahead and bring Idris back. Idris, it sounds like Johnny is ready to get started. Why don't you take him over there? Help them get started while I answer these folks' questions over here. And because here's what I don't want. I don't want the guy on the right to say something negative or stupid that's going to influence the guy on the left that's ready to go. Is this making sense to anybody? This is real stuff, guys. I've literally grabbed, like, somebody says, hey, they're standing like that defensive, and they'll literally say, hey, you know what? Well, yeah, I got a question. Yeah, sounds good. I'll tell you what, give me 1 second. I'll address this other guy. Or if that guy is absolutely defensive, I'll say, I'll tell you what, why don't we do this? I know that you and I need to have a deeper conversation. Let me do this. I'm going to meet with them. I'm going to go ahead and talk to you. Hey, Idris, help me. Go ahead and help this gentleman, get some coffee or get a drink. I'll be with you guys in a minute. And you gotta pick up on what I'm telling you. If your leader tells you that you got to pick up on what they're saying, it's a team effort. Boom. You swoop in, take them away from these interested. And now, see, we don't teach that these days that much because we do a lot of Zoom, but we still do in-person stuff. That makes a difference. You should never be sitting in a presentation or a training like the person in the middle or the person on, on the right. Because here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen, any of you that have ever spoke in public, you know that you feed off of the energy of the people in that audience. And the people give you energy, and that energy throws you off or it helps you. It either helps you or it throws you off. That energy is going to help you or throw you off. Okay? You got to be leaning forward, nodding your head, raising your hand. The people in the back, we got to hear you. The people on the front, we got to see you participating. We got to hear the people in the back participating, and we got to hear the people in the front. We got to see the people in the front participating and hear the people in the back. People in the back, the people in the front can't see you, but guess what? If you say, yes, does that make sense, ladies and gentlemen? You say, yes, it does. Raise your hand. Yes, it does. People in the front, nod your head. Raise your hand. And guess what? The guests in that room, guess what they're thinking? Wow, there's interaction here. And they will more likely be, they are more likely to interact because you and others are interacting than if nobody's interacting. We are on the same team. We all got to get our act together and step up when it's time to step up. So when it comes to those events, sit in the front. Participate. Mr. Daniel Pacheco talked about this in one of the systems training, right? So I'm just giving you an example. This affects I've put people when I'm doing a training on public speaking, I say, come up here and I want you to say, just do an introduction, your name, where you're from, what you did before, and what you're doing, your experience with BYLD now. And I tell the audience, all of you, lean back, cross your arms, don't respond. Then they do it. Then I tell the guy or girl, now do it again. Now, this time the audience, I want you to lean forward, pay attention, nod your head, and be pleasant, be nice. Then I ask the speaker, do you feel a difference? He says, absolutely. It absolutely is. That's why sometimes you're going to have a tough crowd. I might have a tough crowd tomorrow at that real estate office. Guess what? I've got the experience to deal with them, right? So that comes with experience. Let's keep going. So here's a couple of more. Evaluation, critical evaluation. Pretty simple, right? This guy, not only is he has his hand on his face, but he's leaning forward, right? This is examples, right? Readiness. And then we've got obviously board, trust, honesty. And some of these things, pictures don't do it justice, right? We could show a better example doing it live, but that's okay. Look at the guys on the left. One of them looks bored, comfortable, relaxed. The other guy looks like a victim. If I ask you to act like a victim, act like somebody that's struggling, somebody that's going through a tough time, your shoulders will be slouched, your head will be pointing down, you'd be breathing shallow, you wouldn't make good eye contact. They say that if you stand in the Superman pose, your feet shoulder width apart, your hands on your waist. I want you guys to try this after today's presentation. For 2 minutes, feet shoulder width apart, hands on your waist, chest out, chin up. Breathe in deep. Do that for 2 minutes. They say that your testosterone increases by 20%, whether you're male or female. And the stress hormone, I forget what the stress hormone is, goes down by like 10%. Just by the way that you stand. Your physiology is not only sending a message to your prospects or the people that you're around, but it's also sending a message to your brain, to your subconscious mind. And you can impact how you feel by your physiology. When you smile, you're sending to your brain signals that you are indeed happy. And it is harder to be unhappy when you are smiling. Let's keep going. How to make people like you. Step one, compliment them. We're talking about communication. The easiest and quickest way for someone to like you almost instantly is by complimenting them. I'm sure that we've all experienced, even with the smallest compliments, that those compliments can make our day. So compliment them on what they are wearing. Now, this is from a book, right? So, what a beautiful dress you have. It really suits you. Gentlemen, that could be taken the wrong way if that's not your spouse, okay? So be careful with that. Now, if that's your wife, that's great. Or something that they've done. Hey, that's a really clever way to tie your shoelaces. Okay, I'll have to try that next time. My point is compliment them. One of the things I talk about in training and prospecting is I like to prospect people, cold market, and my favorite prospecting line for somebody cold market that I meet out and about is, hey man, hey, you're the sharpest guy I've seen. You're the sharpest girl I've seen all day. What do you do? I'm curious. What do you do? Let's say it's or it's a manager at a restaurant. Hey, you're the sharpest person I've seen all day. You must be the manager here. Yes. Hey, I see that you guys run a tight ship here. Are you the manager here? Oh, no, I'm not the manager. Well, you're very sharp. I thought you were the manager, and I can appreciate how fast your service is. You guys are awesome here. Oh, thank you. You know what I do often? You know what? This food was delicious. Can you please send my compliments to the chef? Or let's say I get somebody, a waiter, that gave me good service. Let me ask you something. You've given me some of the best service I've ever gotten. Is your manager here? Yes. Would you call him, please? Sure. They call the manager. They come over and I say, yes, I just wanted to let you know this young man or this young lady has given me some of the best service I've ever got. I want you to know that they are an absolute asset to this organization, to this restaurant. And, in my opinion, they deserve a raise as soon as possible. Whenever the next raise is available, they deserve it as soon as I say it in front of the employee. Dude, you could see how this doggone person is like, this person is so cool. How many people do you think do that for them? Nobody probably ever. You want to talk about being charismatic? Making people like you is a form of being charismatic. Smile, nod. I'm going to talk about a couple of these things. Get good and practice at giving compliments. You could learn how to be more charismatic. Let me tell you something. Charismatic people make more money than non-charismatic people. In case you didn't know. Okay? Let's go. Smile. Smiling makes you look different, approachable, and cheerful. These are qualities that people generally like to associate themselves with. Write this down. People like people who are like them or like they would like to be. People like people who are like them or like they would like to be one day. Do you think most people want to be charismatic? Doggone right. Do you think most people like charismatic people? You doggone right. So shouldn't you learn to become more charismatic? Of course. Do you think people tend to like people that are successful more than people that are unsuccessful? At least the people we're looking for like to be around people that are successful more than people not. If I find somebody that would much rather be around very unsuccessful people, guess what? Very unsuccessful people can also, not always, but can also be very negative. I'm looking for the lookers. People like people who are like them or like they would like to be. Do you think most people aspire to be successful one day, to be sharp, to be charismatic? Yes. You can become that person now. And the person that attracts more people makes the most money. Because where does money grow, right? Who could tell me where money grows? Put it in the chat. Where does money grow? I know Gabby, if she gets her fingers on that keyboard, she's going to put that one fast. Who could tell me where money grows? In other people's pockets. That's right. People have the money. I know Kalelo would know that one as well. People have the money. Money grows in other people's pockets. You should get good at getting people to like you. Because when you get people to like you, guess what they want to do? They want to buy from you. They want to give you their money in a good way. They want to join the business. They want to work with a sharp, confident, charismatic leader. And guess what? You get there by working on yourself, by getting on these trainings and taking them seriously and going out there and applying what you're learning. The next one, eye contact and body language. This is the most important to show that you are polite and respectful. Make sure that you make eye contact with the person that you are speaking with. It also shows confidence, by the way. And keep your body language open. For example, don't keep looking at the ground or staring into space, into space, or talk with your arms crossed. You could study movies. When I watch movies, I study movies, and not only I study people. Maybe a couple years ago, my wife and I were out on a date, and we see this other couple on a date, and I could tell that couple was their first date. You could just tell, right? And I said, look, notice this. I could tell they both love each other, but that girl, she really likes that guy. Look at how much she's playing with her hair. Look at her body language leaning towards him. She's interested in what he has to say. Look how much they are both laughing. They're enjoying themselves. And it hasn't happened yet. But in the next 5-10 minutes, we're at a restaurant, by the way. You're going to start seeing one of the two. I'm guessing the woman is going to reach over and touch his knee or something. He's going to be so funny. She's going to feel like tapping him, like pushing him a little bit. Sure enough, almost on cue, she reaches over and kind of slaps his knee. That's body language. You could tell that somebody's interested in you, right? The eye contact, the body language. When I am presenting, I look at body's language. I ask sometimes, how many guests are in the room? And I, boom, identify the guest. Then I'm making mental notes. Who's leaning forward? Who's nodding their head? Who's engaged? And who's looking at their cell phone, not interested? I see it from the front of the room and from the back of the room. Let's keep going. Number 4, ask questions. Write this down. Keynote, you want to learn to be interested instead of being interesting. Too many people too often try to be interesting. So they talk about themselves too much instead of asking questions to find out about them. This works in business, this works in dating. I mean, it's human nature. Instead, right? So when engaged in a conversation with someone, be sure to ask the questions about themselves. People generally like to talk about themselves. It is fairly easy to get people to like you, being a good listener and taking an interest in what they are saying. By the way, might I add, a genuine interest. On the other hand, make sure you bring up some interesting things about yourself as well, but keep the conversation open. And how do you say that word? Reciprocal? I think that's how you say the word. Here's the deal. Yes, bring up interesting things about you, but you should keep my rule of thumb is I put at under 20%. I ask about you and I bring up 20%. I'll ask you a question, you'll answer a question, and that question will lead me to more questions. I'll ask, where are you from? And you say Texas. I say, oh, nice. Everything's bigger in Texas, isn't it? Yes, it is. Awesome. What is your name? Let's say, for example, somebody asks, what's your name? I remember one time I asked this lady, what's your name, by the way? She says, Mercedes. I say, oh, wow, that's a very expensive, elegant name. What did she do? She smiles. As a matter of fact, it is. I saw in a movie, Jamie Foxx in a movie. This woman, it's a poker movie, like over 10 years old. He asks her the name and she says, Tiffany. He says, very expensive name. And she replies, that's right, worth every penny. I learned from stuff like that. Right? So in a conversation, make sure that you ask questions, make sure that you are interested instead of being, if somebody tells me, oh, yes, I'm a real estate agent. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. How's the market right now? Pretty good? Everything's going up. If they tell me, you know what, it's okay, we're hanging in there. But it sounds like you're doing good because I know a lot of real estate agents that are gone. So I guess only the strong survive, huh? I said that to a real estate agent. He goes, that's right. You got to keep doing the things that most people are not willing to keep doing, the things which are the fundamentals. He says, like the door knocking, and he's been in business for over 20 years. I say, that's something that I find very admirable. You've been in business for over 20 years. You're one of the top agents in your office and you still do the fundamentals. And that most people don't realize, huh? They stop doing like people who are like them or like they would like to be. I'm finding common ground by asking questions. This guy starts to like me. He's, oh, this guy's cool. We have something in common. And how do I find that in common? By asking the questions. And you could get good at this. Then it becomes fun. You're networking with people, and it's like people want to be around you. People want to talk to you. Some of you guys are going to get so good at this. You're going to be at a party, and then you're going to find a group of people around you. That's when you know, wow, I've gotten to another level at this communication thing, at this charismatic thing. Let's keep going. 5, know their name. Man, hold on. Let me make sure. Yep. So number 5, know their name. That's the easy one, right? Not easy to do, but it people love their name. If you're meeting someone for the first time, it is assumed that within the first 90 seconds, you will get their name. Remember it and use it. At the end of the meeting, say your goodbyes, but make sure to use their name as it makes it more personal. It was lovely to meet you, Grace. Hope to see you soon again. Okay? Use their name throughout the conversation. When I'm presenting to a homeowner, I use their name. Carlos, does that make sense? Yes. Grace, that's a great question. And to your point that you mentioned earlier, Carlos, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's keep going. Because we got a lot to cover. Number 6, when in conversation, try to talk only about good and positive things. Keep it on the positive side. That goes without saying, guys. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on there, especially when you're making a first impression. You want to make sure that the impression that you leave is a positive one. When conversations start to go in a direction that maybe are not that positive, I try to change the conversation, keep it on a more positive note. And then number 7, dress appropriately. People judge you on first impressions. Women judge you faster even than men. It is what it is. How you look, how you dress, people. Now some people are I've been in situations where I'm fighting an uphill battle. I'll tell you a funny story. I was at a Remax mixer. They say, yeah, there's a mixer. It's a wine and cheese mixer. Sounds good. I said, I'm a solar guy. I'm going to go in my jeans and my polo shirt with the company logo on it, right? This is before we started building Encore. So I invite my wife, right? My wife goes dressed nice. I went dressed more casual, and I was out and about, and I could have gone home and got dressed, but I didn't. I said, it's okay. I'm the solar guy, right? So I'm going to represent solar. I'm going to get some solar. Well, I didn't know that everybody was going to be in a suit. I'm the only guy not in a suit. I guarantee you, I felt different. I know how prepared I am. I know I'm sharp, but I can't help but feel, darn it, I'm fighting an uphill battle here because I'm not dressed appropriately. To the point where after the presentation, they're sharing about wine. They're like, okay, now there's a whole mixer and music. So people are drinking and all that stuff. So my wife makes a few friends, some ladies right there, right? They're talking. I go and I pull my wife to dance. These ladies don't know that I'm her husband. As a matter of fact, they don't think I'm her husband. They think they're doing my wife a favor by pulling her away from me. So then one girl goes and tells, by the way, she had just met my wife, and she goes and tells her, hey, by the way, we're about to go over here to the next room. Come on. And she gives her like this face. And my wife looks at her and says, no, this is my husband. It's okay. My wife knew it's like she was trying to save her. And you know what's funny? Then afterwards, I go and I make a joke about it, right? I said, hey, ladies, my wife introduces me. I said, my name's JC. I'm actually Jennifer's husband. I know I don't look like I'd be her husband, but I am because she looks really pretty and I'm dressed like this. One girl says to me, oh, wow, this is a true story. She says, you must be really funny. You imagine? Like, the only reason why this woman would be with you is because you're probably really funny. Till this day, my wife and I laugh at that big time. Anyways, just want to throw a little funny story in there. Right? Oh, we talked about telling stories earlier. There you go. There's a story for you. Let's keep going. Now, I'm not going to touch on this too much because this is its own training, and I'm going to do this training in January in depth. There's going to be a test. All of you, when you attend this training via Zoom or in person, are going to get given a test, and you're going to know what personality you are. I'm going to touch on them briefly because in communication, it helps to know what color they are. So this is going to be a glance. Red personality, money motivated, Status driven. They love recognition and competition. They walk fast, talk fast. Show me the money type of attitude. For example, like a Donald Trump or a Richard Branson or a Conor McGregor type. Let's keep going. The yellow. Calls motivated. These are the people that don't go solar to save money or to increase the value of their house. They go to solar to save the world. Okay? They tend to be more religious. Okay? They live to serve others. They also tend to be hippies, by the way. Right? A lot of hippies, they're yellow. If they're a tree hugger, they're yellow. Okay? They love charity work, family orientated. Okay? Does this help people? Think of Mother Teresa or Gandhi types. Again, I'm going to go into detail on this in January in person. One of my favorite trainings to do. This one here is one of my favorite trainings to attend and to do. Then you've got the dolphin, also the blue. So some of them, sometimes we teach it based on color. Sometimes we teach it based on fish, right? Like sharks and dolphins and whatnot, right? So this one is all about fun. These are the people you get them to go to the convention because it's in Las Vegas. They're all about having fun. They tend to always be late. Their car is usually a mess. They love wearing flashy colors. Okay. They can't stand being alone. Where's the party? Jim Carrey type, Robert Williams type. I'm going to break down the turn-ons and turn-offs of each one of these at that training. This is super just a glance. This is a more than an hour-long training. Then you've got the urchins or the greens. These are the detail-oriented people. By the way, greens drive reds crazy. If I got a prospect that's a green, I don't care if the green tells me, I love solar. I want to go solar. I need an appointment, but I've got my questions. If you answer my questions, I'm ready to go. I'm not taking that appointment. I'm going to call Idris. Idris, you want to take this appointment? You got way more patience than me, bro. I'm not sitting down with a green. They drive me crazy. They will spend more time on questions. They will want to know, how many watts and how many kilowatts. They're going to want to know more than you know before they make a decision. Okay? How does everything work? They love to do their research. They love to study. They love to get multiple bids. They want to know everything before they do anything. Okay? So let's move on. I wanted to give you guys a glimpse of that. That's the last systems training that we're going to do, by the way. It's going to be that, and it's going to be two different trainings combined. So let's keep going. Interpersonal communication. Let's talk about it. The quality of your life will be determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Anthony Robbins. Actually, that's not Anthony Robbins. That's his setup speaker. Anyways, that's not Anthony Robbins. We should have put an Anthony Robbins picture there. So here we go. The morning questions. What am I happy about in my life right now? Remember, your subconscious mind is infinitely more powerful than your conscious mind. Your subconscious mind is way more powerful than your conscious mind. What you ask yourself, it's not only the questions you ask prospects, your team, it's even more important, your inner communication. Success and happiness is an inner game. It's an inner job. Success and happiness is an inner job. What am I the most excited about in my life right now? When you ask your subconscious mind, it will look for the answer even when you're asleep. What am I the most proud of in my life right now? What am I the most grateful for? What am I enjoying the most in my life right now? I'm enjoying my kids big time. And the sense of gratitude that I get, right? What am I the most committed to in my life right now? Who do I love and who loves me? Let's keep going. Problem-solving questions. What do I need to do today towards reaching my goals? How can I become successful and enjoy the process? And these are some questions that you're going to ask your uplines, your leadership. That's fine. What can I learn from this experience? What do I respect about this person? What's actually funny about the situation that I'm in that I haven't noticed before? What's great in my life right now, and how can I make things happen right now and enjoy the process? This next one, actually, hold on one second. Did I skip one? Perfect. Okay. Here's the deal. Understand the self-talk. You think at 1,000 words a minute, 100 but unconsciously though, 125 words per minute is what we can talk, and 875 words per minute are unheard. Most people don't think. They just recycle their doubts, their fears, and their self-imposed limitations. When I say most people don't think, people tend to think that I'm exaggerating. No. Here's what I mean. Most people don't think about what they're thinking about. Most people's thinking is on autopilot. And they say that 95% of your self-talk is negative. Successful people know how to control that self-talk, and they replace negative thoughts with positive ones. Instead of asking the wrong questions, for example, I'll give you an example. Check this out. Life-destroying questions. What's wrong with me? Instead, how can I get better? Why won't people respond? How can I get more people to respond? Why is it so hard? Why is this so easy? Or how can I make this easier? Why can't I succeed? How can I succeed? Why don't people like me? How does everyone love me? I focus on the positives. Or how can I get more people to be more receptive to me? How can I get more people to like me? Why am I struggling? How can I have more success? Why won't anyone join? How can I get more people to join me? What is my problem? Why am I so great? Why don't I have money? How can I make more money? The quality of the questions that you ask for yourself will determine the quality of your life. Trust me when I tell you, most people's self-talk is negative, and your self-talk is shaping your reality and your identity. Your self-talk is shaping your reality and your identity, and also the way people see you. The way that you show up, people see you. You are shaping your identity for yourself and for other people. So congratulations, we got one more here. Got a couple of goodies for you. We're going to wrap this up. We got 5 minutes to go. Here we go. Effective communication for entrepreneurs and sales professionals. First of all, preparation. I'm going to go to a real estate office tomorrow, as I mentioned earlier. You got to know your audience. Understand who you're communicating with, their needs and their pain points. I've done presentations for high schools, and I've done presentations for churches. I assure you that my communication style is different when I do a presentation at a church versus when I do it for a football team in a high school. Can we agree? Could you guys imagine? There's a difference in that audience, right? Define your message clearly, articulate your value proposition, key benefits and unique selling points. Prepare your supporting material. The number one step to being a sales professional is to be prepared. You got to have your materials, your PowerPoints ready. Notice I have these ready. I don't ever show up with my stuff not ready. And it helps me, I don't have to worry about it. The day before or the hours before, today I was reviewing that. I had my assistant, Stephanie, go ahead and edit that proposal the way that I wanted it. Then I went through the proposal and I changed some things and I added some things. Then I put this one here together. The next one is this: build rapport. Establish a connection, find common ground or shared interests, and build rapport with your audience. We kind of talked about this earlier. Use positive body language. We talked about that. Maintain eye contact. Use open and confident body language and smile. The next one is show genuine interest. Ask questions and actively listen to the audience for their needs and concerns. Effective communication. Use clear, concise language. Avoid jargon or technical terms that might confuse your audience. I say it all the time. When we did Mentor Factory, I did a training on the homeowner presentation. And I said, here's the deal, guys. Matter of fact, I've seen very successful solar pros that close a lot of business. And they're telling the customer, yeah, you know, the panels produce the electricity, the kilowatt hours, and then your inverter turns it from DC to AC, so your house uses it. Dude, that is what we're talking about here. You know what that is? Jargon and technical terms. I don't say your inverter turns the electricity from DC to AC. I say your inverter, in a nutshell, what it does is it turns your electricity produced from your panels into usable electricity for your home. Clear and concise. The customer doesn't know these things. A confused mind does nothing. Okay? Use storytelling techniques. Share relatable anecdotes and examples to illustrate your point. Have your stories on point. I'm going to be tomorrow at a real estate office. You better believe I've got some stories up my sleeve of other real estate agents. Tell me if you put a yes in the chat if you ever heard me tell this story. I have my buddy Chris says to me, "Hey, JC, I've got a lead for you. I'm going to send them to you. Hey, listen, sounds good, Chris. You could be an affiliate, make $1,000, or you could be a consultant, make half the commission." He says, "No, I'll be an affiliate for now." Sounds good. I close a deal. I call him. "Hey, Chris, check it out. Congratulations, you just made $1,000. Chris says, "Awesome. That's Miami money," because he was going to Miami for his birthday. I said, by the way, Chris, did you know that if you would have been a consultant, you would have made 3,200 instead of 1,000? He says, how's that? I said, I told you, you make half the commission. Commission was $6,400, so your half would have been 3,200. Long story short, Chris became a consultant. And we closed more deals. Has anybody ever heard me say that story? Yes, I see it in the chat. Thank you, guys. Guess what? I've got my stories on lock. I am prepared because I am an effective communicator. I also communicate to myself that I'm an effective communicator. My subconscious mind believes it, and I perform it. Okay, make it interactive. Didn't I just do that? You guys have seen me at events. Does this make sense to anybody? Yes, I ask questions. I point at people. I ask, what's your name, sir? Right? I ask you guys to interact. Encourage the audience to participate. Ask questions. Solicit feedback. Okay? Then use visual aids. Incorporate images, videos, props, etc. We've done all that. In handling objections, anticipate objections. Have your responses prepared. Common concerns, have them prepared. There's like a handful. There's like half a dozen rebuttals for recruiting people and for selling. There's half a dozen. You should know these by heart. Okay? Listen actively, pay attention to your audience for their concerns and respond thoughtfully and address concerns directly. Provide clear, concise answers to objections and offer solutions or alternatives. And then the last one is, to finish this up, I mentioned this earlier. People like people who are like them or like they would like to be. Remember that. That's a big one. Seek feedback. Ask for feedback from your audience. Ask feedback from your mentors. Reflect on your performance. Evaluate your communication style, your tone. You want to become a better speaker? Go ahead and speak in public. Go ahead and speak to yourself and record it and evaluate your tone. Evaluate your pauses. Evaluate the story. I didn't tell a story. I was supposed to tell a story. Let me figure it out. Okay? Practice and refine your skills. Continuously work on improving your communication skills through practice, training, and coaching. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the top of the hour. We went 3 minutes past the hour. I hope you guys got value from today's training. We are getting close. I appreciate everybody. Show the people that didn't get on here. I want you to put something that you learned on the chat. Remember, these eventually, we're going to create certification courses that you're going to get an actual certification on communications. They're going to be longer than this, by the way. They're going to be 1 hour to 2 hours long minimum on public speaking courses, right? I want you guys to go in that group and show all the people that didn't make it what you learned so they know that next time they should not miss any training ever. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, have a good day. Happy holidays. If I don't talk to you, we're still going to be working. We're going to be doing our thing, right? I don't know about Millionaire Mentor Monday because it's the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. We'll let you guys know tomorrow. But tomorrow, Business Showcase, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you promote like never before. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Rangel.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Awesome
Great
training.
job. Great job.
Thank you,
Great
JC.
call, JC.
Excellent,
very
JC.
much, sir.
Rangel.
Thank you, JC.
Let's run that millionaire mentorship on Monday.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. JC. Thank you, team.
Thank you.